Hello and welcome back to my humble show. So sorry for the simple setup today. What can I say? It is fitting because this will be a short show. Simple and straightforward, or at least I hope so. I don't have a lot to share with you, at least not for now. I've had a difficult time recording much of anything as of late. In fact, it has been a week or so since I have recorded a show. I'm just going to go through a few thoughts of mine about a particular topic, and I'll probably follow up on it later when I have the opportunity, when I have the time. I saw a headline from the New York Post just the other day, published on the 19th, I believe. Let me read the headline for you. Here it is on the screen. Karine Jean-Pierre writes she couldn't be a Democrat anymore after party's horrible treatment of Biden. Her boss, obviously. So yes, she has published this new book, not to be mistaken for Kamala Harris's book, which is titled 107 Days and is essentially about her belief that she would have won the election had she only had more time to campaign, which might lead one to believe that she is going to be campaigning yet again. Karine Jean-Pierre's book, on the other hand, is titled Independent, because that's what she is now claiming to be, but not really. And yes, I do have a thread here. Just a few thoughts. I'm not going to add too much to it. I actually wanted to add some clips, a compilation or a combination of clips to this video of different quotes of Pierre in her various interviews from her book-selling media tour that she's going on right now. I put together this thread before I had even watched all of her interviews, but my word, she's awful. In fact, some of the interviews I watched with her, I could not stop laughing because she just lacks any self-awareness whatsoever. Either that or it's all about selling. A lie, I'd say, because her entire premise is that the Democrats were too mean to her boss, and that he should have continued to run. He should not have been pushed out of the election. He should have won the election, because apparently he would have, or something like that, though she won't overtly say it. She says that he should be in the White House right now, or at least should have had that opportunity to win the election. Fair enough, since he was the one who Democrats chose in the first place. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, was just a backup plan in the end. So I'll give KJP that much. Biden was treated unfairly to that extent. But in the grand scheme of things, her lack of awareness is due to the fact that she is continuing to pretend that there was no decline in Biden, her boss, rather than just the average aging effect. Yeah. Is she blowing smoke? Is she telling jokes? You let me know in the comments below what you think, what you know. Be happy to hear from you. But I'm wondering, is she defending her boss? Or is she defending her defense of her boss? Because, you know, she was perpetually defending him for multiple years, pretending that indeed there was no decline. So now that she is out of office along with him and a so-called independent, as she's calling herself, I'd suggest that she's either defending her own ego or her boss's ego, or maybe both of their egos, or just their ignorance. And that's putting it lightly. So let me just share a few thoughts with you now. I might actually record a reaction video later reacting to some of her interviews because they are so hysterically hilarious, if you ask me. But yes, New York Post caption here reads, Karine Jean-Pierre writes, she couldn't be a Democrat anymore after party's horrible treatment of Biden. Let me enlarge this image here. You see the cover of the book. This book is on Amazon. You can purchase it for yourself if you're desperate. Quotes like this summarize the book. A groundbreaking, revelatory assessment of America's broken two-party system. Rachel Maddow calls it a brave firecracker of a book. I can see that it has a 1.3 stars rating thus far on here. I can't definitively say that she deserves even that much applause, considering how pitiful she was as press secretary, or shall I say propaganda secretary. There's more to the summary. I might read that in a future show when I get more into the weeds on all of this. But I just wanted to let you know where you can find it if you're into that sort of thing. Yes, here on the cover it says, Independent, a look inside a broken White House outside the party lines. Playing into this notion that she's now an independent, giving the inside scoop of sorts. Also interesting that after being pushed in some interviews, she's now arguing that the broken White House she's referring to is actually the current White House, the current administration under Donald Trump, which doesn't even make any sense since the entire premise of her book was that she was giving everyone a look inside the broken White House Biden administration, which she was a part of. Okay, so she doesn't exactly have a scoop inside the current administration, now does she, since she's not inside it? And it seems to me that she doesn't even really have much of a scoop to offer into the previous administration, her own administration. But let me just go through this really quickly, and you can feel free to disagree with me. Again, Independent, a look inside a broken White House outside the party lines. In other words, Karine Jean-Pierre was on the inside, refusing to look outside, completely incapable of being honest with people on the outside about what was happening on the inside. And now she wants us to believe that she's suddenly on the outside, revealing what was happening on the inside. Well, while she may be revealing what's already obvious about how the Democrat establishment doesn't even believe in the democratic process, it's also true that she's only even complaining about Democrats, though she'll inevitably continue voting for them, because they had the audacity to trade one cover-up for another. So yeah, something else she is saying in her interviews is that she'll never vote for a Republican. So on the one hand, she's saying, I'm an independent. On the other hand, she's saying, I still believe in all of the Democrat values, whatever those may be, and I won't be voting Republican anytime soon. I'll break that down a bit more momentarily. Let me just continue on here. What's most ironic about her nothing burger of a novel is her media blitz rationalizing about it. On the one hand, she's acting as though she offers special insight into Democrats' betrayal of President Joe Biden. But on the other hand, when challenged on her inability to see, or at least admit, the expendable nature of Biden's deteriorating demeanor, she argues that she didn't have knowledge of internal polling or campaign deliberations, and most definitely not about his decline itself. Again, she continues to argue that there was no decline. What about now? He's literally a cancer patient, and she believes that he should be in the White House because he's fit as a fiddle and ready to do more than just twiddle his thumbs, I guess. I'm not buying it in more ways than one. I'm not buying her book, and I'm not buying what she's articulating in her book, which is a poor woman's version of con art, in my extra humble opinion. Basically, her entire argument is that the Democrat establishment should have simply betrayed all of America instead of betraying her boss. And while it's true that America had initially chosen her boss, with plenty of help from the Democrat establishment, of course, that doesn't negate the extent to which he was propped up on false premises for 3.5 years before having his pedestal kicked out from under him by his own party. And a few more thoughts here. KJP's entire incoherent talking point is that she's aligned with Democrat policies in every way, would never vote for a Republican, believes wholeheartedly in the two-party system, and is therefore registering as independent, a third party, to persuade Democrats to fight only against Republicans, as opposed to, heaven forbid, pushing her babbling boss out of the race. Pushing her babbling boss out of the race which he had no business even running, or in his case, stumbling. I was watching her book tour interviews earlier today, aka yesterday, and could not stop laughing. The woman lacks any and all awareness. According to her, President Joe Biden should still be in the White House right now, fighting only a metastasized cancer, with the entire Democrat Party echoing her completely unsubstantiated claims that he's tougher than ever to keep up with. Well, that last part might actually be true, seeing as how Biden has left the building in more ways than one, and is now totally off the reservation. So that's my interpretation of it all in a nutshell. I hope to do a deeper dive into this shallow subject at some point in the near future, but fingers crossed on that. Yeah. My actual studio is set up in the bedroom. But the best time for me to record in the bedroom is late at night, and that happens to be when both my wife and daughter are sleeping in the bedroom. So I've now shifted to this smaller studio out in the living room. I have a laptop, webcam, lights, camera action, so on and so forth, set up on a piano bench. My cat is back here sleeping. I don't know if you can see her. And I'm just working with what I got, but I had technical difficulties over the last couple of days trying to set this up. Doesn't seem like a lot. I also was trying to run my OBS software through my Canon Rebel T3 old camera, but there is a way to use it as a webcam. It's just not very effective. It had been so long since I tried it, I couldn't remember how effective it was. Thought I'd try it again. More technical difficulties. Technical difficulties with my microphone. This is actually my microphone from my bigger studio in the bedroom. I have a couple of additional microphones, but it turns out I got rid of the cords for them so they wouldn't work. They take additional components anyway, so this one is the simplest one to use. I just took it from in there into here. Had to run a bunch of updates on my laptop because I have not used it for so long, at least not very much. It's really laggy and draggy, so I had to tinker quite a bit. But it'll have to do for now unless I can get in the bedroom right after I get off work and do some recording. I might be relegated to recording from in here for a little while. That's just a little update on why I haven't been able to upload consistently. And now that I mention it, the work is not done here. I have to put this on some editing software and do some trimming, upload it, get to bed. Hopefully before 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm pushing it right now, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Peace.